Adventure 15 starts here at Bowman Lake State Park. I was here back in the fall of 2022 and I made a video. It was not one of these adventure videos because that was before I was retired, but I'll put a link to that video here for you to take a look at. And it was also the location of one of my favorite of all time pictures that I've taken, and I'll put that up here too so you can take a look at that. So we're here at the park today and it's a beautiful morning. The sun is just coming up over the hills. The sky is very clear, not too many clouds, and we'll see what we can find here at Bowman Lake State Park. Well, this is a very interesting situation, but it looks like we've got footprints going into the park. So I think as long as I stay parked outside the entrance here, I should be able to walk in. So here we go. We're walking in. My recollection is that this road is a bit lengthy down to the lake area, but we're about to find out. Well, it certainly is very peaceful here. I certainly seem to be the only one at the moment. There were what looked like fresh footprints out there before, earlier on the trail. But I think one of the reasons why it's so nice and peaceful is there's no cell service out here. So you don't see one of these very often anymore in the world. A payphone. If you needed to make a call here from Bowman Lake State Park, this looks like it's your only way to do it. Make sure you bring your quarters. This building is the concession stand. Has a nice deck here overlooking the lake. The lake is currently snow covered. You can see we've got some beautiful morning light coming up over the hills and lighting the trees on the opposite side. Well, I got the first shot in the can. Basically, these two trees here are on the left of the composition, using the rocks and the reeds as my foreground, and the beautiful golden morning light coming up on the trees that are on the other side of the river. As always, when dealing with snow, you want to make sure you're not trampling over your composition. So it's always good to look around first, try to decide where you think you might take shots from so that you can walk appropriately. It is quite a small lake here at Bowman Lake, but they do allow for paddling, whether it be canoe or kayak. But as you can see, you do not have boat rentals here, so you would have to bring your own kayaks with you. Last time I was here, I did see fishermen, I guess it was, that were kayaking out on the lake. Of course, today, there is no one out on the lake. If it sounds on the audio like I'm huffing and puffing, it's because I am. The snow is just deep enough to make for some tough going. Certainly not impassable, but there's a good 6 inches, I'd say, on the ground here. It's not particularly fresh snow, but it's deep enough, and we have been getting refresh. Little bits of snow to refresh every once in a while. The topic of today's video is storytelling, or having a voice. Humans seem to have a primal need for storytelling. And it's not about the listener. It's not about your story being heard. It's about the storyteller. It's about being able to put your words out. Now, I have no illusions that anyone's watching these videos or hearing what I say, but it's about me being able to get a word in edgewise. And if someone is listening, all the better. But it gives me the chance to say the kinds of things I want to say the messages that I have to give, and it is my need for storytelling that has made me make these videos. Interestingly enough, it's right near the 1-year anniversary since I retired. This is now January 2025. My last work day was January 19th, 2024. So it seems fitting to kind of wrap up this past year's set of videos by talking about the idea of storytelling and why I'm making these videos. Here is the entrance into the trail that will take us around the lake. Let's give it a go. So they also have cross-country ski trails here as well. I have yet to see any tracks in the snow, but maybe further up ahead we'll see some. I wish I knew more about animal tracks. Certainly I can recognize the hooves of a deer, and usually I can tell a dog, mostly because they'll be walking along with their master and you'll see their boot prints. But here's some interesting marks in the snow. I'm thinking squirrel as it makes its way. Maybe its tail was dragging behind it as it walked through the snow. My story, as it relates to these videos, is to show my love of nature, my love of photography, share some of my quirky thoughts about life in general, and to show the places that I travel. I like to consider myself a citizen of the world. I try to learn about the cultures and the people of the places that I travel to, and those are the things that make up my story. Snowmobile tracks. I had been following a trail that was hugging the edge of the lake, but now I come out onto a little bit of a road and we see some evidence of snowmobiles going through. See if there's a shot here. There's a nice tree that has fallen and is out into the snow-covered lake, again with the nice sunlit trees in the background from the opposite side. I'm going to see if I can work out a composition here and come up with a photo. So I took that shot of the fallen tree that I was describing, and I'll show that to you. But then when I turned around, I looked back towards the sun and I saw some interesting composition that I thought I'd give a try. I normally don't like shooting into the sun, but in this case I thought it might work nicely. Here at the south end of the lake is the dam, which forms the lake. And you are seeing right down to the other end. As I mentioned, it is a small lake. I imagine that's not more than 3/4 of a mile to the other end. But we'll get the stats off the website. Cart top boat launch right down this path. I can only imagine that means if you have your canoe or your kayaks on the top of your car, you can pull down there very close to the lake and get them in the water. So tell your story in any means possible. That could be through writing, speaking, music, art, or any other way that you can think of. Doesn't matter if anyone's listening, get your message out there. More of those possible squirrel tracks, but this time without the dragging tail or body. In my last video, I talked about snowflake photography, and I surmised my difficulties were because of minimum focusing distance of the lens. And I was right. Your average lens will not allow you to get that close or to get that much magnification. The lens that I was using has a minimum focusing distance of about 6 inches, and you really need to get a lot closer to a small snowflake. So your options are to buy a specific macro lens, which is designed to have a much closer minimum focusing distance, or the other possibility, a much cheaper possibility, is to try extension tubes. These tubes are small rings that fit on the front of the camera between the camera and your lens. And what they do is provide distance between the lens and the sensor inside the camera. And by enlarging that distance between the two, what you do is you reduce your minimum focusing distance and increase the magnification. I can see my car up ahead there. It was not as far a walk down the road as I thought. So it was a very good day. Remember to stay till the very end for the bonus. It's been a beautiful winter morning here at the park. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll join me on the next adventure. As always, be content, stay curious, and enjoy the moment. Well, where do you get extension tubes? It turns out I had a couple of extension tubes. In my digital photography journey, I've had a total of 3 cameras. The first was purchased in 2017, just before our first trip to Alaska. Shortly after that, I got a more advanced camera. It was a used camera that I bought off of eBay. And the person selling it, I believe, was changing over to a different format of camera. So it included a bunch of extras, a flash, a remote shutter cable, and as it turns out, it had a couple of extension tubes. Well, I sold that camera to buy my current camera, my OM1, but I kept all those extra accessories. So I did still have the 2 extension tubes. Now I'm not going to try any snowflake photography in this video, but now that I've got the extension tubes, I can experiment and practice, and I hope before winter is over, before all the snowflakes are gone, to have tried some snowflake photography.